Give this a go, I guess.
I'm not ready for this.
Well, get ready, buddy.
Heck yeah.
Get ready. That's the outro.
TNMP, the Nerdy Misfit Podcast, with your hosts, Connor O'Neill and Matthew Hughes.
What is up, Matthew and fellow Nerdy Misfits?
Hello, everyone. Not too much. This is the, I don't even want to say a long-awaited episode, but
This is our recap / synopsis /
Review
/ thoughts of
the future.
Secret Invasion,
Yeah.
which is a MCU television show on Disney+.
Lasting 6 episodes that just ended last week, as of we're recording this, and last week for when this episode comes out.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, it focuses on Nick Fury as kind of the main character.
Yeah. And spoilers ahead.
Spoiler ahead. So
Just
if you haven't watched it,
Go watch it.
go watch
I
it.
don't know.
If you don't
It's
feel
okay.
like watching it and you kind of want to know what happens in the MCU, I don't blame you. So stay. We will try our best to explain what happened, kind of.
Yay.
So overall, what did you think, Matt? What did you think of the show?
A solid okay.
Yeah, it was okay.
Not the worst of the Disney Plus Marvel shows, but
No,
not
for
the
sure.
best. A nice soft middle. The story was coherent enough
It
that
was fun to follow Nick Fury too.
Yeah.
It was a change of pace.
definitely. It was not a coming of age story.
And Samuel Jackson is awesome.
What a banger of
As
an
ever.
actor. Heck yeah.
So that was, and young, got to see young Samuel L. Jackson, which I'm sure a lot of the budget went to for sure.
Yep, which we'll get into.
But yeah, it basically starts to I want to say answers questions, but sometimes some in a way it doesn't. But for simplicity, let's say it answers some questions from some post-credit scenes from some past MCU movies.
Yep.
Because it's heavily focused on the Skrull that are on planet Earth,
That
who
have
are
been.
shape-shifting aliens.
Correct.
And we've seen, I can't even remember what film it was, but we see that
It's one of the Spider-Man movies.
Nick Fury
And Maria Hill.
and Maria Hill were never there. It was,
Talos and his wife.
yeah, because they got blipped
Yeah.
and they took over.
Correct. I think that is the end of No Way Home.
Yeah, I think
Because
you might
Nick
be right.
Fury's in that movie for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming.
So it starts to answer some questions in regards to what's going on with these aliens. It also answers the question of what's kind of going on with Nick Fury. And it's not even just hinted, it's just straight up mentioned that Nick Fury is not the same after was blipped.
Yeah.
Both obviously physically, because well, if you think of everything that happened during that part of the MCU, there's some alien invasion as usual.
Classic.
Avenger level events usually do involve an alien invasion.
What?
But yeah, just he's older, weaker, and mental is just, I would say, not as crisp. You know?
Yeah.
Because Nick Fury he's one of those characters. I said this to you off the podcast, but Nick Fury is kind of just Batman in a way. Where if you're a Batman fan, you would get this, which is Batman needs to know everything. Bruce just has to know everything that's going on. He needs to know the weakness and have a contingency plan for everything. He's just kind of crazy like that, which is obviously, I forget what the story is called, but there's the one story where all of the powers, or all of the, who is it? Mirror Master that gets into the Batmobile and takes all of the secrets of how to beat the Justice League.
Oh, I know what you're talking about too. Is it Mirror Master?
Someone gets basically finds Bruce's plans of how to take out every single Justice League member, but there's no way to take out Batman. And at the end, when everything is all hunky dory, they're like, there's no one we trust more, I guess, Batman, than you to have this information. But like, what do we do for you? Like, how do we defeat you? And he's like, well, that's why we have the Justice League.
Yeah. That particular point right there happened at the end of Forever Evil.
Mm-hmm.
I know that because you see all the chests, like he has all like the little containers that have everyone's symbols on it.
Yep.
And it's just like a throwaway line, but like it's
so
also
badass.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, that's why the Justice League exists. The Justice League exists to take out Batman. Confirmed.
Correct.
But that's just what Nick Fury is. Other than being, he's still badass, but he's not as crazy into it as Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
But he gives off that vibe of, I need to know everything. I have a plan for everything. I know how to react to everything because I think I'm smarter and I'm always ahead.
Yeah.
Which is one of Bruce's flaws, I would say.
Because they're not always ahead.
And obviously it's one of Nick Fury's flaws, which he never took it to the being blipped away into consideration, which had a massive effect on him. And he isn't one step ahead of everyone during this show, which is, it's like nerfed. He's like a nerfed
Yeah,
Nick Fury.
exactly.
The other thing is, there's both Skrulls on his side, but there's a whole bunch of Skrulls against him. And we learned during this story that one of the ways that Nick Fury had so much information and was able to get so much information was because he had Skrulls working under him, doing a bunch of underhand tactics to get information.
Yep.
Plus, Nick Fury clearly doesn't have the same power within the government
that
as
he
he
used
did.
to, as is revealed throughout the show.
Of course. So that's kind of a quickie first touch of what it covers. But the other part of the story is Nick Fury's friend, who's a Skrull, who is Talos, is kind of pushed out by his people as no longer the leader. They no longer trust him and Nick Fury at that. And they start following a new person whose name is, I forget. But
like Gavik or whatever.
Yeah. And he's a little bit more aggressive.
Just a little bit.
He's much more of the, I'm going to take over the planet kind of level of villain.
Yeah.
And they're all following him. And it's a matter of trying to find out who isn't a Skrull, who's feeding who information. We've had some pretty significant reveals, pretty significant deaths.
Yep.
Within this short series, there were a lot of events that will
big reveals,
that will echo throughout
100%.
the MCU for sure. One of the big ones is what's going to happen with Nick Fury in general, and I'm saying this as Samuel L. Jackson's character of Nick Fury.
Mm-hmm.
What will happen to him in future MCU films? On top of that, we have Kobe Smolder's character.
She died,
which was Maria Hill, who, if you don't read comics, is a big deal in. I know S.H.I.E.L.D. in the MCU no longer is a thing after the Hydra takeover, but in comics is a massive character.
And has been for a while. So the fact that they killed her off, that could just be Cody Schmolders wanting to
It could be a contract thing, yeah, for sure.
But also at the same time, like if they're going away from, because of the way the phase is going, it seems to be like more like a bigger plot point. Like S.H.I.E.L.D. is not going to be involved.
Yeah. Which S.H.I.E.L.D. is now Saber.
Basically,
kind of,
yeah.
Anyways. But Saber feels like it feels really filler, like, yeah, there's part of Saber. Well, and we don't see it nearly as much as we saw S.H.I.E.L.D. through the early, first 3 phases of the MCU.
Definitely the first 2.
S.H.I.E.L.D. is always present.
Yeah.
Always there. I mean, we even had the S.H.I.E.L.D. show, but they were always in a lot of the movies somewhere. Obviously, they were needed to build the Avengers, but then they were still around past the original Avengers.
Saber was also talked about, too, in WandaVision. Like, I don't know what the acronym stands for exactly. Let me see if I can pull it up here quick. Because it has to do... Because it shows up, I think, in the series finale of WandaVision. Yeah, so... in the comics. Okay, so this is the equivalent of SWORD from the comics. Because SWORD in the comics is a subdivision of S.H.I.E.L.D. that operates in space. And it's Saber, for some reason... in the MCU, but I'm just trying to... The Sentient World Observation and Response Department.
Basically trying to stop alien invasions.
That says
because
SWORD.
That seems to be Earth's issue.
Yeah, pretty much. It also does not say what Saber stands for, apparently.
But we get the idea.
Yeah.
It's a task force put together to
Intergalactic.
keep off Earth people from
Yeah,
Earth, basically.
because what's her face in
Captain Marvel?
Not Captain Marvel. Monica Rambeau's character.
Oh,
She, I think in the trailer of the Marvel, she's at that station.
oh, okay.
So now we obviously know that Nick Fury is in the Marvels
In the
because he's in
Marvels
the trailer.
movie, yeah.
So this is kind of like, I'm assuming it's a little bit of his epilogue. Like I'm assuming Secret
It'll
Invasion
probably
takes
cover a
place-
lot of what, and it'll give us a better idea of what Saber's doing,
Exactly.
what their goals are, who the threats are, etc., etc.
Yep.
But back to Earth, we learned that while Nick Fury was blipped, after re-blipped, anti-blipped,
Reverse blipped.
reverse blipped, he basically sounds like he has a mental breakdown, goes up for Saber and just is no contact with anyone.
Disappears from the universe.
And everyone, Talos and Maria Hill are both just like, WTF, dude. Like, you never call.
yeah. Where you been, girl?
And during that time, Talos lies to Nick Fury and brings what sounds like millions of his race to Earth,
Yep.
which is bad
No bueno.
because that means millions of people could not be that people.
Yes.
In simplicity terms, the president of the United States could be not a person. Obviously, we learned that he is a person. He's a regular human.
Yep.
But that's just the level of how high some of these, how high they've achieved in a lot of world governments. That they have infiltrated very high
they've had 30
ranking
years,
spots.
so.
Yeah. And it is a massive domino effect. There's no lie about that. So I want to talk about a few things I didn't quite like, which I feel was the common feeling towards, which is Rhodey.
Yep.
It would appear post Civil War,
That's what I was going to ask. Yes. When do you think he was taken?
based on when he's rescued and he can hardly walk, makes me think he was taken during recovery at the hospital.
That's my thought process as well after Civil War.
Right? Because in Civil War, we see that he's walking again, but he's not walking. He's going through therapy and getting to walk again. Mm-hmm. So my thought process is that's roughly when he was taken. But that means those deep moments we got during Endgame when Tony Stark dies, because Rhodey is Tony Stark's best friend. I don't know if it feels like that during the MCU so much.
Well, I think it's just because he's also part of the government, right?
Yeah. But he takes his role seriously, and so he's kind of that wall that Tony bumps into, but you can almost say he's that friend that tells Tony how it is and isn't going to sugarcoat it and isn't going to take Tony's shit. He doesn't care that Tony's rich. He doesn't care who Tony Stark is or Iron Man is. He's going to tell Tony, no, you can't do that, or, put on a suit and beat him up.
Yeah, exactly. I do think we are going to get more answers of that in, I want to say it's Phase 6. I think it's a movie that's going to be coming out called Armor Wars. And that's when we're going to see...
Maybe more road stuff.
Yeah. Unless it's not even... Yeah, so it's not... Oh, yeah, it's just... Yeah, the Armor Wars description is literally just... Rhodey must confront one of Tony Stark's greatest fears when Stark tech falls into the wrong hands. Which, I mean...
So we're going back to Iron Man 1.
Basically the plot of Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, Spider-Man 3.
No,
Spider-Man 2, sorry.
Iron Man 3...
Oh, that was
into the wrong
extremist
hands.
stuff. Blech.
That's more like Tony has having like a...
break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
okay,
so we'll get more late in
hopefully
like a
some
couple
answers.
years. Yeah.
But we just have to wait a couple years.
Classic
But-
MCU.
But I did feel like a lot of people were not happy knowing that wasn't the real Rhodes.
Yeah.
Because think about it now. So he's been captured. They finally get him released. Also, aren't all of those people like in a massive radiation area? Because the Skrulls are not affected by radiation at all. So they were like in Russian nuclear sites that were
I think, yeah, like, but that's why they tried to like rush them out. I think at the end.
Yeah, but there were some of them were there for years.
Yeah, but no, because they were in like the little like they were fine because they were like in little pods.
Sure. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know.
Sounds like they had high radiation exposure.
Yeah,
but he's gonna go back to the hospital, I assume, and he will learn that Tony's dead via that way, and that Skrull fought with the Avengers against Thanos, I guess.
That's what I mean. That's the big question, right? Like that's where it kind of gets like iffy on his story. I think because they also show that like the Skrulls like take the memories kind of thing like that, so they know who they're pretending to be.
Yeah, they know all they have the thoughts of all the information they need basically. But the weird thing is, why would he? I guess at the end of the day, the Skrulls, if Thanos got to live, he was a dangerment to them as well. Yeah. So it makes sense that he would fight with the Avengers.
So that's the big thing. I did find it. I think I was reading one like post, and it was just like a meme post of like, wow, it's crazy how in Endgame they just go to like this exerted planet where Thanos is just chilling by himself, and they just kill him. They're like, wouldn't that be a nice planet for the Skrulls? Oh well. Anyways, moving on. And it's just like,
this massively abandoned planet that no one's living on.
Perfect. Oh well, sucks to suck, I guess.
Captain Marvel's not looking hard enough.
Captain Marvel's
but she found it.
Yeah, that's
she's the one who found it.
Yeah.
And her whole part of her goal was finding the planet for the Skrulls.
Correct.
I think that's also a Nick Fury thing, though.
Yeah, that is 100%.
Well, to be fair, he was still blipped at that point.
Yeah, so
but
he wouldn't have known, technically.
But she would know that Nick Fury isn't actually looking for a planet for them.
Exactly.
Nick Fury likes having the Skrulls to be able to figure stuff out.
100%.
Which we also learned that Nick Fury used the Skrulls to gather Avengers DNA.
All of DNA is not just the Avengers.
Yeah, not just any superhero being.
Yeah, any super being, villain, hero, etc.
Grabbed their DNA at post fights in the background and created a, for lack of a better term, superhero serum, I guess.
Yeah.
But a mix of all of them.
Yes.
Which is just crazy. Also sounds very Nick Fury.
That's the thing. I mean, come on. He had literally called it the Harvest.
Yeah.
Like,
what a good name.
Beautiful.
And this is the goal of the main villain, I guess, is to get the Harvest, but also to make Skrulls super Skrulls.
So they can become a super Skrull.
Basically so that the Avengers will never be a problem for them, which the Avengers never get called, because the Avengers never get called during events that aren't in those actors' contracts.
Of course. I mean, no, it's just because Nick Fury wants to handle it himself.
Right, classic. And they even mention it. They're like, "Where's your Avengers?" And he's like, "I don't need the Avengers." And then I think another time he says something like, I created this mess. I'm going to clean up this mess." But it was probably an Avengers level event, realistically.
Arguably so, but at the same time, when you think of like the core Avengers right now, where the heck is everyone?
Yeah, that's a good point. Where is
Because you got to keep in mind, right? So Nick Fury's been chilling in space, right? So does he know that there's a new Black Panther? Because that's all happening in Wakanda. He doesn't know about Namor and stuff. That all basically happened in Wakanda. He's not worried about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he probably knows, though.
He probably knows.
He's Nick Fury.
But he isn't going to pay attention to that. In theory, he would know that there was a female Thor that showed up, but then that all happened in space. So gosh only knows about that. So he doesn't care about that. We know that Captain Marvel's somewhere doing something.
Yep.
He probably doesn't even know who Shang-Chi is.
No, but he probably knew of the real
rings.
Mandarin.
Yeah, of the real Mandarin, all that lore and everything like that. Yeah.
He definitely already knew about that. He definitely knew about the Mandarin. So
big question is, what is Nick Fury doing when it comes to that giant freaking oh my god, what are they called? It's the Eternals thing, and they destroy the one, and it's just chilling in the yeah. So that's a big thing, but he probably doesn't care about Doctor Strange right now.
How much
either.
do we see Nick Fury past this Marvels movie?
What do you mean? Sorry.
How often are we going to see, or will we see, Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury post Marvels?
Oh, post that movie. I don't.
Do they kill him?
I don't think he'll die, but I think he will.
Because this also leads into another question of mine. How do the Avengers assemble? Who assembles the Avengers? Based on what we know, it sounds like it's supposed to be Nick Fury still.
In theory, yeah. But you look at the lineup here for the movies, for example, right? So we're in Phase 5.
Yeah.
Let me scroll back up to this list here. Oh, this is the TV shows. We don't want the TV shows. We want the list of the cinematic. Okay, so right now we're sitting in Phase 5. Phase 5 just started early this year. So we got the Ant-Man movie, the Guardians movie. Then we got the Marvels coming out in November. And then these are all the movies that come out before we get a new Avengers movie. We have the Marvels. Then we got Deadpool 3. Then we got Captain America Brave New World. And then we got the Thunderbolts movie. And then we got Blade. And then we got Fantastic Four. And then we get the Avengers movie. So we have like 4 brand new team-ups basically happening before this. Because we have the Marvels, which are the trio.
Yep.
We have Deadpool 3, which gosh only knows how that's going to fit into everything else.
Is Deadpool going to actually be like an Avenger, though?
I don't think he's going to be an Avenger, but he's going to be bringing in the X-Men, which will definitely
That's important. The bringing in
pop
of
off.
X-Men.
Yeah, that'll pop off in like the 6th Avengers movie.
Yeah.
When the big team-up's got to happen again, of course. Because they got to try and outdo what they did in Endgame, you know?
I don't know if that's possible at all.
I don't think so either. Then you got Captain America Brave New World, which has Falcon as new Cap, and then I'm assuming his Falcon protege will become... Because in the Falcon Winter Soldier show, you get introduced to like his buddy that's also in the army, and in the comics, that guy becomes the new Falcon after Sam Wilson becomes the new Captain America.
Captain America, yeah.
So you got that trio, and Winter Soldier's probably going to be in the Captain America movie too. And then you get the Thunderbolts, which is the thing that bugs me, because the Thunderbolt movies has like a weird group. Because Thunderbolts is basically, in the comics, it's usually a bunch of villains becoming good, and it's usually led by Thunderbolt Ross from time to time. But in the MCU, this is the team that's going to happen. You have Bucky Barnes, so you have the Winter Soldier. You have Ghost from Ant-Man 2. You have U.S. Agent, who is the guy from the end of...
So it's a Suicide Squad.
Well, yeah, it's their version of Dark Avengers. Because I think you have Valentina, who's Madam Hydra. You have Yelena, who is the other Black Widow. You have Red Guardian, and then you have Taskmaster.
What a group.
And I'm like, why did you... What? Why?
Yeah, unnecessary.
It just seems aggressive. And I'm like, I don't understand what the point of this was. But yeah, so you're going to have that team up. And then you get the Blade movie, which I don't know what characters we're going to go to the Blade movie. And then we get the Fantastic Four movie. And then we get the next Avengers movie. And there's going to be, like I said, like the fact that we're having a Fantastic Four movie, like that's 4 big characters right there that we're going to see.
Yeah, well, and that's if it's only
more.
4.
Yeah.
We could easily get the kids.
Could get the kids, could get
Richard's kids.
Von Doom. Like there's a lot.
Well, yeah, we could get introduced to Victor, and I think Victor is definitely going to be a Avengers level villain at some point. I don't think we see another Doctor Doom as the villain Fantastic Four movie. I think we get introduced to him and maybe hints of them dealing with him before.
So then who do you think is going to be the villain of the first Fantastic Four movie?
That's a good question. Not sure.
Because like the thing is that they've kind of set up, because in the comics, the Fantastic Four are decently good friends with the Inhumans, which have already been introduced. Zatu, who's already been introduced.
When the Torch is dating Medusa.
Yeah, that's a big thing too. But the Inhumans first appeared in the Fantastic Four comics.
Right.
Before they had their own comic and stuff. And then also like Mole Man, maybe, because that was like the first villain, but I really don't know, like, without going Victor Von Doom or Galactus.
Yeah, or even, I mean, bringing in the Silver Surfer feels like you would have to bring in Galactus at the same time.
They can't really do the Super Skrull, because that's a big thing in the comics too, is the Super Skrull was able to have their 4 abilities.
We have a Super Skrull.
We have various Super Skrulls now.
So why not?
Exactly. I guess.
That would be a good way of connecting kind of what's going on with the Super Skrulls, because we're just supposed to accept that there's these immensely powerful Skrull existing now.
Yeah. I mean, the one they could do, which is a very weird one, is I think his name is the Wizard, and he creates a group of villains called the Frightful Four.
What's funny is I don't find the Fantastic Four to be an overly exciting team.
No.
But their top good villains are top tier. Like, their villains become Avenger level villains.
Yeah, Galactus
Doom. And Doctor Doom are easily top tier. Avengers villains.
Kang as well, because Kang is a relative of freaking Mr. Fantastic. The Super Skrull, that's big. Namor was one of his original villains too. Claw, who's already been in the movies, he's dead, I think.
So they introduce a lot of villains.
Yeah.
But no one wants to see just the Fantastic Four fight him, I think.
No.
I could be wrong.
I mean, yeah, we could see.
I would rather see the Avengers fight Doctor Doom.
I'd want everyone involved. You know what I mean? Like I want to have the MCU's version of the Illuminati show up.
That'd be cool.
Because
we did get the Illuminati though.
We got the Illuminati, but we didn't get like
for those who
the comics Illuminati.
Matt did quotes over the Illuminati as he said that. But we got the Illuminati.
We did.
But it was more of an Easter egg.
Yeah. Because in the comics, it's supposed to be like the smartest minds altogether, which they kind of do.
Yeah,
they do.
I mean,
it's still.
Is Captain Marvel one of the smartest minds?
Not in the comics traditionally.
Because that was the only real outlier feeling.
Yeah.
In that Illuminati.
Yeah. And we didn't have a Tony Stark either.
But he's dead.
Yeah, but it was the multiverse.
You're right. He's the multiverse, so he'd be alive.
Because traditionally in the comics, it's Namor,
Black Panther,
Tony Stark, Mr. Fantastic, Black Bolt, Doctor Strange, Xavier, Beast, and Black Panther. That is usually like the big ones. And obviously there's members that come and go and everything.
Yeah,
like that.
It's like a rotating door of.
Yeah. But basically it is the smartest minds. And to me, like you have Namor, even though he's kind of a anti-hero villain-esque character.
Yeah. We're gonna have Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah. You have Mr. Fantastic. You're gonna end up having Namor. Black Bolt is still around, I think. I've never watched the Inhumans show, so I don't really know where he lies in the grand scheme of everything.
I don't know if I saw that the actor signed, but I know that the actor's interested in coming, returning and reprising his role.
Exactly. That's fair. So you have him. You have Strange.
Yeah.
Obviously, Tony's dead, but that could be replaced with
Spider-Man or Ironheart.
Or Ironheart. Black Panther, obviously, we'll just have like the new one.
Yep, which works.
Which works perfect. And then if Beast comes in,
she seemed more
smarter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
T'Challa, anyways, like he did not. There's something about the MCU and not giving credit to the intelligence of some characters.
I agree, which we've discussed before.
We've discussed with Spider-Man, but yeah, Black Panther similarly is supposed to be one of the most intelligent people on the planet. But I don't know if anyone got that vibe.
No, they definitely think that he's like smart, but not to the extent of. Yeah.
Not like a genius. But his sister does.
Yeah.
At least. I guess it's hard to portray, though, in a movie other than using tech.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're good with tech. They've made techie things. Like, that just is an easy way of being like, look at how smart they are.
Exactly.
Which not everyone can be smart with just making tech. Unfortunately. It's just.
I think another big thing to keep in mind, too, if they were to bring in the Illuminati, in the comics, one of the main reasons the Illuminati was brought in is because each of them held on to one of the Infinity Stones.
Ah, yes.
That was like a big thing for a bit too. And then they said they were going to destroy them and,
they never
story.
did.
They never did.
Shocker.
Crazy concept.
Although, with the X-Men coming in,
anything is possible.
Charles Xavier in his cool floaty chair.
Yeah. I don't know if Patrick Stewart will still be up to do it, but
That's fair. You're right.
if James McAvoy wants to come back, I'm down for that too.
Do we take a third run at the Phoenix?
I hope not.
No, you're not feeling it?
No, I am not.
You don't think the MCU can maybe do the story right?
No, I don't.
Okay, how about Avengers versus X-Men?
If they were to do that as like Phase 7, I'd be totally
Kind of
up
like a
for
new
it.
Civil War-esque.
But a lot bigger.
And a lot more complicated.
It would be very complicated.
That would be sick, though, if done well.
It's unfortunate.
It'll never be to the comic standard.
No,
like
of course
we
not.
like we learned from Civil War. Well,
Yeah.
one, Civil War is just massive. There was no way that was ever going to be.
But it's also unfortunate that Chadwick Boseman passed away, the gentleman that played Black Panther, because I would have loved to see the Storm and Black Panther relationship. Because that was a big effect in
We can have Storm with
Avengers
the turn
versus
Black
X-Men.
Panther. Why not?
We could. I agree. But But I think it was fun to see that in the comics where, like, because Storm was obviously an X-Men and Black Panther was obviously Avengers, so, like, that actually led to their divorce in the comics.
It was a significant...
Big, like, just to
butting
show
of
you.
heads.
Yeah, exactly. And there was other characters like Wolverine.
Well, it just shows their stance also,
Yeah.
right? Like, Storm is, no,
my people.
these are my people.
Yeah,
I don't care.
exactly. But even, like, yeah, like Wolverine was a character that was both an X-Men and Avenger. So we'll see what happens. I think...
That's definitely a storyline that can be pushed, though, now.
Definitely, yeah. Especially, it really depends how Deadpool 3 is going to affect the MCU, I'd say.
Does it set up anything? Is it really only is Deadpool 3 going to be more of a, oh yeah, these things have existed this whole time. just were never used.
By the way.
Or will there actually be events in Deadpool to lead up to other movies? Because for me, I feel like Deadpool kind of feels like its own thing. It's just kind of a way of showing that there are mutants in the MCU now.
I definitely think that, but you also got to keep in mind that at the end of Deadpool 2, we see that that he's able to just jump from, like, timeline to timeline, or, like, because he breaks the fourth wall, obviously.
Yeah.
And goes to, like, in quotations, different timelines, but different, like, time travel-esque thing with the Cables thing. So I don't think Cable's going to be in the third one, but I think everyone else is going to be. I'm just looking to, like, I pulled up Deadpool 3, and obviously the characters we know that are coming back are Deadpool and Wolverine. The girl who played Negasonic Teenage Warhead, she's obviously going to be in it as well. And here's the thing. I'm on Wikipedia, and it says those characters, Deadpool, Wolverine, Vanessa, who's the fiance, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and then it lists a bunch of people being like, oh, reprising their roles from the previous Deadpool, so on and so forth. And then, but just before that, another character is saying they're coming into this film, and it's Jennifer Garner coming back to play Elektra, which has not played Elektra since 2005 from her own movie.
That's very random. But we are getting Daredevil.
Exactly. Gonna get
That's another thing. Daredevil. Are we going to see Daredevil in the MCU? Like, movie?
Well, now that we have the girl who plays Ms. Marvel in the movies, I think anything is possible.
Yeah. We've finally crossed that line.
Yep.
Which, for some reason, no one had issues with the movie. They didn't seem to have issues with movie going to show, but then they had issues with show characters going to movies.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if you look at half the show, I mean, outside of Ms. Marvel and Moon Knight, all of the shows are just movies to shows. Hawkeye, Winter Soldier, Secret Invasion.
Yep. It's more, it's more like lore building based on movie characters.
Exactly. Ms. Marvel was the first one that
went the other way.
Exactly. Because even like Secret Invasion.
None of the things with any of Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage. Nope. No dice.
That did not go into... Oh, I guess...
Even Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. really didn't. Because if you think of it, Agent Coulson was a movie character.
Yep.
And then he was like the lead man in the show, but none of those show characters showed up in the movie. Any of the movies. So, yeah, that's very interesting. Very weird, eh?
I guess She-Hulk is kind of like a gray area.
Have we seen her in a movie?
We haven't seen her in a movie, but I'm saying like Hulk was in her movie to kind of like build up.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Hulk was in her show to help.
Yeah, like it's...
But he needed to be.
He's
the reason she became a Hulk.
Exactly. Like it was...
The main thing is, will we see She-Hulk in a movie?
No idea.
And what's going on with like
Loki's
the Hulk contract?
I don't know, because they didn't have the rights to Hulk. That's why we couldn't do a technical Hulk movie, but now She-Hulk's like slightly different.
Do they just go full She-Hulk as the Hulk?
They probably will. I could see that going with there, because Mark Ruffalo is probably up soon.
He's probably done, I'd assume.
I'm also curious, because if you look at Phase 4 of the Marvel shows, like WandaVision, I don't think is getting a Season 2. Falcon and Winter Soldier, not getting a season. Most of these are just like TV specials, almost, it seems.
What do you think about an Avengers level event that resets the universe in a way in which they just recast Thor, they recast Hulk, they recast Captain America? Like, I'm talking a full start over, but you don't have to do the origins of all of them because we all know about the characters and what they've been through. It's just like another universe version of them.
It's like Ultimate Universe kind of situation?
Well, yeah, Ultimate Universe. I'm thinking like Secret Invasion, Secret Wars 3 level event where everything's onto
a
one
reboot.
world, but these are the versions
Yeah.
of them that are left.
Well, I thought that's what they were kind of doing with like in the comics when Secret Wars 3 happens, we do like a soft reboot of the Marvel comics, and there was the all new Marvel,
Yeah.
and that's when we had new characters playing certain characters, which I thought for sure is where we were heading when Jane Foster became Thor, Falcon became Captain America.
Yeah, exactly.
We have She-Hulk.
We were starting over with the characters
Yeah.
where we could be like, okay, we no longer have Chris Hemsworth as Thor, but we have Thor.
Exactly.
Which
We
is
still have Thor. We still have
Quotations,
Captain
an
America.
important Avengers character.
Yeah.
Because the problem when it comes to live action, unlike comics, where you can just start drawing Thor again.
People age in real
Yeah,
life.
people age, money. The
Yep.
more popular the MCU is, the more money it's going to cost to have these actors, which they don't want to pay, as we know. They don't even want to pay writers to write the good shit.
Ayo.
And now there's acting. So we know that obviously the higher ups don't want to pay these people.
Yep.
So they get pushed out. And in live action, you still kind of need a Captain America. You still need Thor. You
Still need your
a
big
Spider-Man.
characters, yeah.
And we just need that Secret Wars level event to just start fresh. We all know who Thor is. We all know the Thor powers set of Thor. We all know the powers of Captain America. It's kind of that.
Well, that's
good
why I was so
starting
shocked
point.
the way they ended
And
Thor: Love and
Miles,
Thunder.
we've talked about before.
Yeah.
We could just simply have Miles be the Spider-Man.
Just throw him right in.
We have Ironheart introduced. There's your Iron Man suit level character. And just start from there. But the MCU's become so complex. That's another question I have from Secret. I know we've really gone off the rails from Secret Invasion.
That's
but
all right.
I feel like for the most part we've covered Secret Invasion. The big
Long story short, 6 episodes. Skrulls have been on the Earth for the last 30 plus years because Captain Marvel.
and
movie.
the main thing is for me, how many are the Skrulls going to be used as a
plot convenience.
convenient fixer-upper for explaining certain characters being in certain places or whatever. Oh, yeah, that's that because this is actually a Skrull. That was never them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I do think that we may run into some plot convenient writing for that, which I'm not excited for. Other than that, other big impacts from the show.
Maria Hill's dead. That's literally the
Maria
only other
Hill's
big one.
dead. Rhodey was a Skrull. He's now back.
The president got
The agent
threatened
from
by
Black
Nick Fury.
Panther has been a Skrull, I guess, for quite some time.
Everett Ross.
And there's now superhero Skrulls.
Super Skrulls, which have the ability of various heroes and villains from the
Which
MCU
is-
leading up to this point.
And it's kind of left on a cliffhanger of working with a different government agency within the UK. So potentially we could see Emilia Clarke back as a villain, maybe
Maybe
or
hero,
the start of a new Avengers.
She killed it, by the way. I really enjoyed Emilia Clarke. in
Oh,
the
she was
show.
great.
She was great for that.
But yeah, there's not much else to say. I would say 7 out of 10, 7.5 out of
Yeah,
10. Like it
I
wasn't
would
bad,
respect that,
not
yeah.
great.
Like I said, not the worst, but not the
Did
best. you know?
did do a lot of explaining, but does make you think a lot of,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, what's stopping them from just saying, oh yeah, this was a Skrull, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, down the line. But yeah, I do. Do you think that the MCU is getting almost too complex now? Because when it was just movies, not even all of the movies, as we've discussed, technically led into MCU plot progression. Right? You didn't need to see Guardians of the Galaxy 2 at all. You could just accept that new members were part of the team.
Correct. Because Guardians... Anyways.
But you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Iron Man 3, you could just watch that. Was it like a mini... it wasn't... Not an after credit scene. It was like a mini...
for Iron Man 3?
yeah.
It's basically irrelevant.
But you didn't need to watch Iron Man 3. I'm saying they released that...
All Hail the King, the short film. Yeah,
the short that was like, oh yeah, this is kind of what you need to know from.
Yeah. BT dubs. The thing about...
But you could watch all these movies, and yes, it's a lot to watch 20 plus movies.
Yeah.
But in terms of, hey, I watched Captain America 1, I now understand where Captain America came from. I watched this, I understand where this guy came from. And, you know, you kind of pick up the little pieces that are left behind to create the plot of the overarching plot of the MCU, and it's easy to understand. And we've talked about this before about where the MCU is headed, but now with all these extra shows and this creating now who was even who, it's kind of time travel and stuff like this really messes up plots.
Yeah. So what I would say to that is it all comes down, in my opinion, to how the Marvel's is going to go. And the reason being is because we have yet to have any of the shows directly impact the MCU. As much as Kang was in Ant-Man, and sure, we see the post-credit scene of Ant-Man, and it's Loki and Owen Wilson's character in a random time thing of seeing a different version of Kang. We see that as a post-credit scene. To me, that doesn't really count. But because if you look at the shows, right? Actually, no, scratch that. I am completely wrong with what I'm saying.
Oh, there you go.
Because Doctor Strange 2, WandaVision indirectly connects with... It does, but it doesn't. Because they kind of sum it up in Doctor Strange, being like, Wanda, you took over a town.
Yeah.
WTF. Oh, you're evil. Cool. And they kind of mention it. But, like, you don't have to watch WandaVision to know about that. Like, you could skip WandaVision to watch Doctor Strange 2. Falcon and Winter Soldier, of all the shows, probably seems the most important because of the new Captain America movie. But otherwise, Loki, kind of doing its own thing, doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of the MCU. What If? Animated show, that's multiverse.
Ms. Marvel?
Ms. Marvel is probably the only one that matters because of the Marvel's movie.
Captain America matters.
No, I'm saying like...
The Winter Soldier and Falcon?
The Winter Soldier one does matter, but right now, Ms. Marvel is the only one that matters.
Because she's in a movie.
Because she's coming up in the movie. But otherwise, like She-Hulk doesn't really matter right now.
Unless She-Hulk ends up in movies.
Exactly. So like it's almost like you get to pick and choose which ones you want to watch. Because really, like I said, the Hawkeye one doesn't matter. What If doesn't matter.
And yeah,
Loki
White
doesn't really
and
matter.
yeah, okay. I understand from the show, but I guess my...
If you want to be a completionist, then yeah.
But what about like the Skrulls? You don't think that we just accept what happened in Secret Invasion and it's just accept it moving on? Well, then it just feels like very bizarre writing if that this is supposed to be.
That's why I think it all comes down to the Marvels.
It's very confused writing in terms of how can all these massive things be going on in the shows and there's no ripple effect towards what is supposed to be a combined universe.
Yeah. Well, that's the big thing about the Eternals, because that was just like, oh, cool, a team of 12 people.
I think another
basically.
thing that would be important is you mentioned that Thunderbolt Ross is rumored to be the president.
Yeah, in the new Captain America movie.
In the new Captain America movie, which would be important because that could be something that was foreshadowed within Secret Invasion.
Exactly.
Where Nick Fury, the president, decides to have basically an all-out war against the Skrulls.
Yeah, I hate the Skrulls.
He hates them and wants to out them and get rid of them off of planet Earth. And Nick Fury literally says that's one-term president stuff.
Yeah. Which implies that obviously he's not going to stay president.
Yeah, if he's replaced because of the way his reaction was or whatever, at least that's some form of connection with this show.
But Secret Invasion, I enjoyed the story. Like I said, the kind of 7 for both of us. I could see Secret Invasion basically being summed up in the beginning of the Marvels. Like we see like...
I see. Like, you haven't seen Secret Invasion? This is what happened.
Like Kamala Khan and her family are watching the news, and it's kind of like you just watch a newscast and it kind of sums up Secret Invasion. And then Nick Fury jumps up, like comes out of nowhere, and they're like, "Yo, I saw you on TV." Like it's, you know what I mean? Because as much as Secret Invasion could be a big plot point because of Captain Marvel's connection to the Skrulls,
how they seem to be writing the newer MCU movies is, hey, not everyone's gonna watch your shows.
Exactly. So still fill it in just enough.
Yep.
But I think I think it really comes down.
We'll have to find a non-MCU watcher, someone who really only watches the big
movies,
films, and have them on and see what the other side is like.
Yeah, because we know.
Hey, I watch these movies because they're big pop culture things, and I want to be in the know, but I don't care enough to watch any of the TV shows.
Exactly.
Or maybe even characters that they're not big fans of for the MCU even.
Exactly. For
movies. So maybe we'll try and pick one. We'll try and find someone within our circle that is not into Marvel movies.
Ruh-roh.
It'll be tough.
So stay tuned.
Tough find, but maybe we can... I just think it'll be a very interesting view to have on and discuss kind of what they enjoy, what they take away from the MCU.
100%.
And where they're... Because we could obviously also be just overthinking this.
It also because we have comic book background too, right? So we're expecting these big things to come out.
Yeah, we're like, oh, the X-Men are coming. We have it's there. It's set in stone.
Yeah.
Avengers versus X-Men.
This has
It's
got to
writing
happen.
itself.
Yeah. But then in reality, like the common
We've got
scrub is
Doctor
not gonna
Doom.
want
Obviously,
it.
Doctor Doom can fight the Avengers, but like you're right, it could literally just be the Fantastic Four fight Doctor Doom, and we never see Doctor Doom.
Exactly. Like it's all up in the air, and that's the downfall of us coming from a comic book knowledge standpoint, being like, this is what they're totally setting up. Because I mean, for the longest time, if you guys listen to like early episodes of our podcast, I go off about how they're setting up the Dark Avengers. Like they have everyone. They have the Black Widow character. They have the Captain America character. They have the new Hulk. Like Abomination's back. Like they were recreating the original 6 Avengers. And I'm like, that is a big thing that happens in the comics. We are ready for this. And then it's like, no, just kidding. It's not happening. Sorry, we're doing the Thunderbolts instead. And you're like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
But it's basically the Dark Avengers.
Yeah, that's the other thing. We have so many Avengers. There's so many Avengers teams in the comics.
Yep.
Where we're at a point where we have so many different characters. The thing, how many top tier actors are even left to be big MCU characters?
Well, that's a big question, right? Like big actors and actors that haven't been in, like what we got. One of the like Chris Pine hasn't been yet. One of the only Chris's.
Because yeah, obviously we have some younger actors and actresses. They're coming in. And they're doing a great job. It's just their characters aren't those A-list characters.
Yeah.
Ms. Marvel is not an A-list character like a Spider-Man or an Iron Man. What other big... I guess we'll see with the X-Men. I would say that's the next big lineup of...
Well, that's what I mean, right?
Of
There's
top
big
tier-
actors that are
top
out there
tier
still.
characters because we need Cyclops, we need Jean Grey, potentially a new Professor
Wolverine,
X, a new
Professor X.
Magneto.
Because you got to keep in mind, like Jason Momoa, Daniel Radcliffe, Channing Tatum, Allison Brie, like the fact that like Blake Lively hasn't been in, I could see Ryan Reynolds trying to drag her in to be
Keanu Reeves
as well, Jessica Chastain, Adam Sandler.
If the MCU can get Harrison Ford, they can get anyone.
Exactly.
Guy apparently
hates franchises.
Franchises except Indiana Jones.
Yeah. The Rock, Matt Damon, like there's
The Rock. Who would The Rock play?
I have no idea.
He would play Juggernaut.
That would be a good one, but we already have a Juggernaut.
Oh yeah. Dang. But he'd be a good
Jensen
Juggernaut.
Ackles, like he would be like. Can you imagine if he shows up to Mr. Fantastic
Yeah,
or like
for sure.
Victor Von Doom, even like Joseph Gordon-Levitt? He'd be another great one.
All right. So what you're saying is, all the new wave of stars are all gonna be X-Men or mutants.
I think like it's gonna have to be.
So that's the
mutants
new wave.
and the Fantastic Four.
That's all we have. For big people. That's what we have left.
Who
Who are we missing for Avengers level heroes that are big that we haven't seen yet? I guess the other thing is there are villains who end up getting cast as villains that you never think were going to be villains, and then they do a great job. Jake Gyllenhaal, for example.
Yeah,
I thought he was great.
He was great as that. Ghost Rider hasn't been brought in yet.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of outside of.
Bring back Nick Cage.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd be here for it. Silver Surfer, obviously. Molecule Man, The Beyonder. I'm trying to think of like other.
And the other thing is they are competing with DC now. Oh,
Are they though?
Technically, they've always been competing with DC, but I feel like if you're an actor, you probably aren't doing both roles at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're cast as Batman, you're not taking on an MCU role because that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
I
lot
agree.
already. So, although you're not competing, you're competing. You know what I mean? Because they're not going to do both roles. And I'm sure there's also conflict of interest clauses in a lot of those contracts where it's like, you will not join Warner Brothers for any DCEU related.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry. I'm trying to pull up the list, but like we have a lot of the characters because we even have like the Defenders already. Like they're already things. Like Quicksilver, who already died.
Yeah, he
was already the Avengers.
They're already in it, yeah. I guess really it is just mutants.
It's like more like B-list, C-list character like Hellcat and Wonder Man, who is getting his own show later on. Firebird, U.S. Agent, which is already in, but he's kind of a.
Well, I guess we'll have to keep our eyes peeled then and see what ends up happening with the mutant castings, what ends up happening with the Fantastic Four casting. I guess let's leave off this Secret Invasion discussion with a Secret Invasion related topic question, which is now that Nick Fury has now left Earth again, is the way that they kind of, because let's face it, Samuel L. Jackson is not going to be Nick Fury forever.
No. He's getting a little old.
He's definitely also one of the longest lasting MCU actors.
Yeah, he is technically the only one left alive. Well, outside of Chris Hemsworth, I guess.
Like, he's been part of the MCU for a long time.
No, he was in the first Iron Man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he's been here forever.
Yeah.
Do they write him off by having him be the Watcher?
I'm here for it, to be honest. I think it'd be great. I'm hoping, like, as much as I love him, I think Ms. Marvel's will probably be his last performance.
Yeah, will be the last performance as Nick Fury.
Yeah, I think so.
Who's going to take on the mantle of that SHIELD-esque organization? Or do we just throw it to the wayside?
I think it all depends how Saber is in the Marvels too, because Nick Fury probably has all his contacts.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll probably see how the
so
future of that organization
it's
pans
actually just going to be, what's his face from the Ant-Man movie? The detective that is good friends with Scott Lang. I can't remember his name.
The one that tells the grades.
I think it's like Jimmy Woo or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be in the Marvels as well, because he's connected to Saber somehow because of the WandaVision show and everything.
Okay.
So
we'll
definitely see.
We'll definitely be doing a podcast related to Marvels,
which doesn't come out till November. Also, I mean, the next big shows that we're going to be talking about would be Ahsoka, which comes out in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
Loki, which comes out in October. Loki season 2. And then the Marvels after that. And I think that's all the big things for the year, because I don't know if DC's gotten anything coming out. In theory, I think Aquaman's supposed to come out this year.
But yeah, so overall, if you're a big MCU fan,
Blue Beetle.
Oh yeah, Blue Beetle.
That's a big one.
If you're a big MCU fan, definitely I would say it's not a waste of time. It's definitely a solid series. It's not long either, is another thing. It's pretty easy to crank out. But also, like Matt mentioned, it'll probably be recapped in the Marvels. If you're not really into the MCU shows or don't have a Disney Plus subscription, you don't have to go out of your way to watch it either. If you just want that extra lore, sure, do it up.
Exactly.
But that's kind of our 2 cents about it.
Yep.
But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. As always, there is a link in the description below to join our socials. Feel free to join our Discord. We have a questions corner where you can ask us questions on the Discord. We ran a little long on this one, so we won't do any of our own questions from the Discord, but we love answering the questions. We also give it a little check mark so you know that it's been answered, and to look forward to that episode where your question is answered. Other than that, we'll see you guys next Wednesday.
Bye.
TNMP, the Nerdy Misfit Podcast. Don't forget to join the island by dropping a follow. Thank you, and see you next week.